Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Early PK. We're going to take them not one game at a time, not one draft at a time. We're going to take them two drafts at a time. There are mock NBA drafts showing up that have AJ Bybantsa going first this year, Bruce Branch going number one next year. Can you imagine two Cougars going number one in consecutive drafts? To which Aaron says, I can, and me love it.
I can't. That would be no and no.
You can't imagine it? No and no?
And Bruce Branch, he's extending the olive branch. I've seen him on Twitter multiple times talking about how he loves being here and he just got here. This is crazy, man. I thought the brothers, they hated being around here. Something in the water in Provo? It's amazing that they love being around there. He's home. He's come home. This is awesome, man.
Jason says, how much is Ryan paying him? I've been told
$17 million.
I've been told repeatedly Ryan is not the biggest basketball booster. He's the biggest name, and he's the most visible, but he's not writing the biggest check.
Oh, well, that's even better then.
He's also restricted as an NBA owner.
He's is it in the restricted area?
Sure, the restricted area in terms of influencing such matters.
He can't take a charge, nor is he going to charge these payments on his card.
Yeah, but I mean, he can a wink, wink. Here, man, I got you covered in the organization. Get you a good job with the hockey team when you're done playing.
Because that's what everybody craves. Tyler, though, is more to the point. Can you imagine two BYU players going number one in consecutive drafts? Nope.
Yeah, me either.
I did read a story yesterday that people should, an unnamed former NBA executive, well, hey, come on, some retired dude, put your name on it. What does it matter? Anyway, it was that people ought to look at Peterson. He's taking a lot of heat for not playing 10 games and then sitting out, large portions, second halves and stuff of other games, but that if he is just protecting his body based on advice he's getting, and really, would that scenario be that different than the Ace Bailey scenario last year? I mean, it's a little different, granted, but it's not necessarily that different. You got this strategy that somebody else's, and now you got a teenager who isn't going to tell the adults no. And now, man, the image that was being put out there of Ace Bailey doesn't match what we watched over the course of a season or what his coach and teammates said they saw over the course of a season. It's night and day. It's totally different. Well, what if Peterson's totally different? And so the unnamed executive is going on about, Peterson is different. Now, you got to do your homework and find out what's going on. But, he was very impressed. Although Dybantsa does seem to be consensus number one now.
Yes, he does. That's what I've been saying. I'm not concerned about what happened if I feel like I've done my extensive research. Now, if I do my extensive research and it ends up showing that, hey, there is an issue, okay. But, I mean, we're gonna crack on Peterson here. And I watched the 76ers, and they've just pushed the Celtics to the limit. Mm-hmm. And arguably their best player, that would be Joel Embiid. He played 38 games in the regular season. 38 games. He played a college season.
Yep, 41 is half, and he only got to 38. But if they beat the Celtics, Sixer fans will be so happy they won't complain. He's fragile. Put him in a glass case. Put the glass man in a glass case and bring him out in the playoffs and beat the Celtics. Right. That's something Sixer fans can sign off on.
and he's played 3 postseason games, and I'm looking at it right now, 26 points, 8 boards, 7.3 assists. He a player.
Really good. That's what LeBron is doing, basically. Look at LeBron's playoff numbers. That's pretty close.
Right. Yeah. And he hasn't been hitting the 3. He's a 34% career shooter from 3, and he's shooting 12.5% so far in the 3 games. So he doesn't have that working for him. So I'm going to crack on Peterson because he sat out. Hey, who knows what would have happened? And I'm not saying it doesn't cause concern, but if he would have gone down and gotten hurt, all those people who are complaining, and I want to use a stronger word, would they fork up the money that he would lose out on? Probably not. So STFU. Now, if the Jazz and Austin Ainge knows this, is anything I tell him, he's not going to be surprised if they end up where it looks like they have the opportunity to draft him. Well, they better have researched it backwards and forwards 500 times.
I read a story when this became an issue midseason, and the writer did, to the best of a writer's abilities, the kind of research an NBA team would do. Now, the writer isn't going to hire private detectives and all that kind of, but they did go talk to people who knew him from high school, who knew him from AAU ball, who'd known him for years, and right down the line, just one glowing quote after another. And even some, I don't know what's going on because that isn't this kid. That's not who I saw the last, 3, 4, 5 years, however long they'd interacted with him. And so that's the kind of stuff they got to do, and they got to dive deeper into what's going on at Kansas. And it'll be interesting to see what Self and people on the staff are willing to say, especially the people they might have relationships with. You were talking about how, just as a beat writer, you developed relationships with people that you can still name today. You were doing that yesterday. And you think how long Self has been coaching and how many NBA guys have gone through there, and ditto all his assistants and staff as those get bigger. And I'm sure scouts know them. And what will they tell them quietly off to the side?
Oh, yeah.
Very intriguing.
I dealt with that with Andrew Bogut.
People trying to figure him out. He was a little bit of an enigma, quiet guy.
And he had those migraines, right? And so there was someone who was going around bad-mouthing him, telling him, was it the Bucks? Is that where he got drafted first? Telling him, don't take him. And then Bogut's current coach at the time was Ray Giacoletti. And Giacoletti told me multiple times, why is this guy constantly bad-mouthing him? What is going on here? I'm getting all this information, and it's not true. And I have to go work overtime to tell the Bucks that it's not true. But they were concerned because there was somebody else who will go unnamed that was saying the guy's not worth it. He's trouble. He's this. He's that. He's uncoachable. Blah 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 blah. And Giacoletti's asking me, what do you think is going on, man? Why is this happening? And well, I got my opinions, but that's not the point I'm trying to make here. And so they had to overcome that, and Andrew had to overcome that because they go do all that type of stuff.
Yep.
And Giacoletti was upset. He felt like the kid was being treated poorly by somebody who knew him. And Ray and Andrew had established a relationship at that point, and Ray and I think he took him to the Sweet 16 that year, and away they went. And Bogut ended up going number 1, and he wasn't a big time superstar, but he had at least a halfway decent career. So they got to do all that, and they'll do that with Dybantsa. They'll do that absolutely with Dybantsa. And if Bruce Branch comes out and shows that he's potentially the number 1 pick next year, then they'll do that too. I am so eager to see this Bruce Branch play.
You're eager, not anxious. Well done there. That was well done.
Well, I don't have it. I may have some form of anxiety down the road, but I don't think so. I'm just eager to see. And one of the things that I saw from KY's brother, Justin, and I thought I knew this. I really felt that this was going to be the case. Justin was talking about how they got the Wayland kid here. He's a local kid. Was it Timpview? Is that where he went, Yak? But
Waleem B, I would attempt.
yeah, and so now is he a senior?
Yes, he'll be a redshirt senior.
Yeah, and so Justin, who's in charge of all that stuff, was talking about their emphasis this year is going to be on veteran leadership, and I'm looking it up right now. And so their BYU TV Sports Nation has a quote from Jake. It says, I learned what it takes to prepare to win close games. And then Justin retweets that and says that veteran leadership was a major thing we wanted to add to next year's team. Absolutely, that's what they need. They didn't have it. You think about the inconsistency that they had off the bench last year, and all those kids, they're all young.
Yep.
And they had no foundation of, I can do this at this level. And now get a kid like Jake, who's been there, played for Clemson, and knows ACC is a very good basketball league, and you're going to play in tight games and so forth. And so they needed that. I felt like, okay, Kevin put together a flawed roster, but it was really, his first full time doing it. The year before, he didn't get the job until the middle of April, right?
Yeah, he inherited a lot of guys.
Yeah.
A lot of guys' situation was already done.
Yeah.
And we talked about that with Alex. It's a similar deal. Your first year is hard, and I think it's even harder if you're coming from the NBA. I think it's difficult for Jacobson at Utah State. But at least he's a college guy moving to college. And even though he's behind, there's a little bit of time to try to make stuff happen. But if you're coming from the pros, you're way behind.
Not till April.
There's so many deals done at that point. And then it depends on what you're inheriting in your roster, how many guys are staying put. And to your point about leadership, their three best players were freshman, sophomore, and then they had Saunders. But when they lose Saunders, now they need his leadership on the bench, but he can't actually get in a game, and you don't have him making a play and feeding off that energy.
Right. I'm sure he contributed what he could, but he wasn't on the court playing.
Right. It's better than nothing, but it's not the same.
And a kid like Waylon now can draw upon that, and whatever role that Kevin Young is going to ask him to do, he knows he's going to play. He's going to get PT, and who cares if you start and all that stuff. It's are you playing? And so he'll be able to adapt to basically whatever situation that KY and his guys think that the kid should be in. And so that's what they need. And I knew that this was going to happen. I just felt like, okay, this is the reason I didn't want to crack on Kevin so much is because it was going through it the first time. And yeah, okay, in an extent, you didn't get the big return in terms of success with Dybantsa, but now you're going to set up Bruce Branch, and he's going to be in a better situation. It's hard for me to imagine he'll be a better player, but the situation should be better because they've learned from it all. And Kevin will probably say that. And so I expect and anticipate that they'll have a better basketball team in 2026 than they had this past season.
And there'll still be some of what other coaches have gone through. The pipeline at BYU just takes so much longer, and I really think it has to be built differently. He can probably bring in a couple of freshmen, maybe one of them plays, and he can have maybe one or two projects, but kids don't really want to sit. So I think the new model is going to be recruiting the high school kids, but the recruiting message is you need to go to School X. And I think there'll be a handful of coaches and programs that they learn to trust. That's another thing they have to learn. I think obviously UVU is developing players. I think that's beyond discussion right now. That's just a fact. And so a place like UVU, and they will probably develop a few other schools and say, go play there. They may develop some, in Mountain West, Pac-12, Atlantic 10, where the competition, maybe they view it as a little better because they do, I think, like getting guys out of the ACC. I don't know how many guys they can send there. Time will tell. But they got to send guys with a message, go play for a year or two or three. We're going to keep watching you, and we'll bring you back, but we're going to bring you back when you can play. Yak says we're going to Rick real quick. What? Yak, we're going to the phones? This is old school.
Let's do it.
Hey, Rick.
All right, I'll give you an example of shutting it down and being advised by an agent.
Okay.
Nobody noticed this either. I went to the Utah Rose Bowl game, and because you're so far away, you see the whole play. You don't just see the TV screen.
Yeah.
From the second quarter when Devin Lloyd dove for Stroud and just missed him and he threw it in the dirt, from that play on, that dude shut it down. And watching the film, you'll see him limping everywhere. And the reason they threw for 500 yards is because Devin Lloyd was 10 yards behind everybody. He would line up to blitz and never went after the quarterback. So I figured after the game, we're going to find out he was hurt. He's going to miss the combine. He didn't miss any of that. He just literally shut it down. And you guys can see video. If you watch video of it, you'll see him lower his head when he goes to run the whole second half. Nobody ever talked about that. That's the reason they got killed in the second half.
Well, I think having a running back at corner, Ohio State finally recognized that. But that's an interesting point about Lloyd. I hadn't heard that before. Thanks for the call,
I mean,
Rick.
yeah, all right.
We've certainly seen guys skip the Rose Bowl. I mean, we can list that. I mean, that's become a thing now. And as a matter of fact, Ohio State had guys skip the Rose Bowl too. So
we had first rounders.
Yep.
I wrote a piece on KSL that the Rose Bowl has been tainted and it ended up being in the top 10 in the entire year at KSL. And it wasn't because of me, although I am great. I don't want to deny myself that. It was the fact that a bunch of Ohio State people took it and had it for days. That somebody dare say that, but it was true. And I don't know about that Devin Lloyd situation. I'll be honest. I'd have to go back and check, and I might do that. But, yeah, and Devin Lloyd's a first-round pick, and he's still in the NFL today.
All right, DJ and PK. That's PK just gave you a drop right there too, Yuck. You should feel free to grab that, his greatness on full display.
But we like making fun
coming
of
up,
you.
we got to talk a little more about Bruce Branch and the expectations there, the whole thought of back-to-back number one picks. We'll get to that. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. David Locke coming up at 8:30.
Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We were brought to you in part by Next Gen Motors. And Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, will be at Next Gen Motors today from 10 to 2. It's Next Gen Motors' grand opening at their new location, 590 North State Street in Linden. All right, question we got up on our Facebook page. Can you imagine BYU having back-to-back number one draft picks in consecutive NBA drafts? We just spent the last second talking about Dybantsa. He does look like he's projected as number one. There is still a chance someone might go to Peterson. They dig into why he missed so many games or parts of so many games. His talent is number one worthy. We'll see if they overcome that. We find out next week who has the number one pick and which team will have to make that decision. But the thought of two players going back-to-back, that comes down to Bruce Branch. So he's committed to BYU, and if you look at mock drafts, PK, and I called up a couple of them when I saw you post this in an NBA draft room, and they've got Bruce Branch at number 4, but NBA Draft.net has Bruce Branch at number 1. One of the comments here, even from the folks at NBA Draft Room who have him as number 4, a big-time talent who can score from inside and out. He has a silky smooth jumper and a great release. The sky is the limit. Reclassed to join the 2026 recruiting class. So that even though they're putting him fourth, they're leaving the door open that he could jump. And when we saw Edgecombe rise, 10 spots, maybe more in the draft a year ago, in a year you can really change your how NBA teams evaluate you. I do find it interesting that of the top 4 players, actually the top 5 players in that mock draft, 4 of them are 6'7", 6'8". Jordan Smith Jr., who's going to Arkansas, is 6'2". So for the teams looking for size, this year there's a lot of smaller guards, and then there's a couple guys in Boozer and Dybantsa who are clearly much bigger, and even Peterson maybe has a little more size. Next year, a lot of those 6'7", 6'8" wing guys.
I love 6'7" wing guys. They're my favorite. Long, lean, take massive strides, go to the hoop, defend, get deflections, in the passing lanes, get out on the break. Oh, Sniggy, break it down for me, big guy.
I was a little surprised, though, because we just heard so much made of Stokes, who's the number one recruit. Now, I get drafting a guy number one is different. I mean, they're just projecting in 1 year in college, what can he accomplish, whereas the pros are taking the longer view. Well, how's he going to develop over 5 or 10 years?
Well, yeah.
So it's a little apples and oranges.
It's
there.
totally. I
Were
mean,
you surprised to see Stokes?
Yeah, well,
Not one?
Nah, I don't know how they judge that. What I do know is that the pros, I trust in them a little bit more, even though there's no guarantees. There's no 100% slam dunk. Occasionally there might be an individual player, but the draft is full of crappy draft picks. I understand that, but I trust the NBA people in their evaluations more than I do in the others. I mean, Isaiah Collier was the number one player when he came out of high school, right? And he went 27th or whatever it is. And he's an NBA player, obviously, but he has flaws in his game. And those types of flaws show up the higher levels you move up, the more you're exposed in that way, right? So we understand all that. But it's just the opportunity to get this Bruce Branch in here. That's why getting Dybantsa literally could pay dividends for years to come. So to say, oh, they didn't get the return on the investment of Dybantsa, it's so short-sighted because we have no idea. It's like a teacher and that teacher's effect on a student. You may not know that for 15 years later when things are going, or a coach, a high school coach, a young boy or a girl going through something, and they can draw upon the lessons that they learned when they're like 25, 30, right? So there will not be an immediate return on the investment, but down the line, and that's what you're going to get potentially with Dybantsa. It's stupid to say, oh, well, they went out in the first round, so all that money they paid him was wasted. Well, did they get Dybantsa? When they get him, does that open the door for a kid like Bruce Branch? Well, man, if it's good enough for AJ Bybantsa, I need to check that place out. And here you go, Bruce. Talk to him. And especially come on campus, and AJ is already right there. You don't have to call him on a phone. You can go talk to him right there. You can talk to him in a facility and all that stuff, right? Because they always have players, sort of the lead what are they? I don't know what the word is that they use, but when
host
a kid
on a recruiting visit,
yeah, and a host. There you go. Yeah, so they can do all that. That thing can just springboard and just have the domino effect for years to come. And maybe that's part of the deal there. And if you get that, you're going to get minimally, unless things go totally haywire. In KY's first 3 years, you're going to get 3 lottery picks. How about that?
That's unreal.
Yeah.
That's a total change. Now, can they start, dare I say it, stacking lottery picks in the same draft class? Because we do see schools where, it was Arizona this year, Duke a year ago, where you're sitting on 2, 3, 4 pros at the same time in the same draft. Can they do that?
It's hard to do that because they're probably going to all be freshmen. Lottery picks, right? There's not a lot of non-freshmen who are lottery picks, and a lot of those times those guys are foreign guys who may not come over. So that's going to be difficult, and I realize Duke did it last year.
Right.
And, maybe what you want to be able to do is get – and you can't take KY can't get all the credit for developing Richie Saunders because he played for different coaches. I think a lot of the credit goes to Richie Saunders for developing himself. So what you try to do, if you can do that, is get kids who you can develop. We'll see what this Rooker kid can do if he stays in the program, and what is he like his junior year, and if he's ready to go at a high level, and then you've got some kids, some 1 or 2 freshmen that you brought in then, combine him, or transfers for that matter, they don't have to be freshmen, do that. And I think that's more logical. But KY has broken so many freaking boundaries. I'm not going to put any boundaries on this guy. I'm not going to put any limits to say, oh, that's not going to happen at BYU while Kevin Young is the coach. Absolutely not. I want to see where he can go.
Guide. Yeah, history's no longer a good guy. I wonder if they could do something like at Arizona where Krivas has come in and his role has grown. Coach him up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So it's not all freshmen.
Right, not everybody has to be a one-and-doner. And they can get somebody, and then get a player who has a bigger size and can be a better pro prospect than a Rob Young, or Rob Wright, I should say. He comes in and has a first year and then maybe plays the field or doesn't play the field and realizes that I don't need to play the field. I got everything I need right here. And so his second year around, combined with Bruce Branch and so forth, then they're that much better. That's why I anticipate next year's team being better than this past season's, because Rob Wright will be in a program for a year. You have a top-level talent like Branch, maybe not as top as Dybantsa, but then you're going to augment it, and you got the Wayland kid, and who else they got? They got somebody else, Yak, out of the transfer portal already, right? Who is it? They got.
Remind me who you just mentioned.
They got another LDS kid coming in, right?
Chandler.
Chandler, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking.
Colin
of.
Chandler.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got him, and Chandler now, he's 2 years removed from the mission. He's played 2 years.
Shot 46% from three.
The
last
best
year.
of Colin Chandler is going to be seen in the 26-27 season. He needed time to grow a little bit. He spent 2 years not playing the game of basketball. You got to give him time. So now the best version of Colin Chandler, Kevin Young and the Cougars are going to get. That's why I have a lot of optimism for this team. They still need some big guys. We know that, but they're not done. So what they've been able to do has been really good. I expect they'll have some big dudes that can take care of that and all that stuff, and away they go. That's why I have optimism to think that next year's team is going to be better than this year's.
It'll be interesting to see as they have more chances to test this new world order and see what really works and what doesn't, if at some point they want to go away from the lottery picks, because those are expensive in the NIL world, and I assume there's a budget out there. Even though it's a big budget, there's still a budget and a line they can't go past.
It's too enticing. You can't.
Okay, but does it win, or are you better off?
Yes, it does win. It does
having
win.
A bunch of juniors who have experience and are late first or second round draft picks.
No, you can't turn down top talent. It does win. I mean, you get in a one and done situation, so you may not literally win, but win it all. But it won. Duke won. They got to the Final Four. Arizona won. They got to the Final Four.
Yep.
Right? And Cole Pete's supposed to go off, and they knew when they recruited him. I'd heard about this kid for years, being from the Phoenix area, that this is what. So you got to go there. You got to make sure that there's a supplement of guys for and around him. I wouldn't pass on top talent, because there's no guarantee that, I pass on top talent because I'm going to spend my money better elsewhere and I'm going to get guys, I'd rather get someone who would be drafted 25th. I just don't see that. I don't see that logic. You go and try to get the best talent and fit the pieces together. That's what you have to have. It's not just completely the best talent. It's the pieces that work together. And that's what Kevin Young is figuring out. And he figured it out on the fly, and now he's got a foundation to draw from. I really think the best days for Cougar basketball are ahead of him.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. David Locke joins us next to talk draft and lessons learned from the NBA playoffs so far as the game continues to evolve. We will get to that with David Locke next. Stay with us. Pablo Mastroeni coming up at 9 o'clock. Cole Bagley joins us to talk NHL playoffs. Game 6, Mammoth and Golden Knights tonight. That's coming up at 9:30. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.